And I'm News 19 Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte as we continue the impacts, the specific News 19 Weather Alert Day impacts that Tropical Storm Debby is occurring right now through not only all of South Carolina, but for all of us here in the Midlands. And we do expect that the impacts are going to continue until Friday. The update that we got from the National Weather Service in Columbia indicated that there are some portions of the Midlands, particularly the eastern side, through Friday morning that could experience up to 15 inches more than what we have already gotten since last night. And we've already had over 22,000 reports of power outages just in the Midlands alone today. So if you haven't done it yet, you might want to go ahead and do so. If you got the flashlights, grab out the batteries, make sure that they are working, because if you have a power outage, well, that's what you're going to be dealing with. Nothing but darkness. And if you have any mobile devices, charge them now. Yeah, we may not deal with any power outages until maybe even Thursday night, but charge them now just to make absolutely sure, because we've been dealing with this now just since last night. Not like the low country, but nevertheless for us, this is an ongoing thing. And the biggest weather impact we're looking at right now, of course, is going to be the multiple days of downpours. We experienced that pretty much for most of the day today. The southern and eastern Midlands have been dealing with this since pretty much last night, and the flood warnings will continue. It's not a question of if, but when. And the roads, they're really not conducive for this kind of weather. Don't go out driving. There's no point of going out if you don't have to go. Many areas that have received continuous downpours, the roads may still be passable to a degree, but the visibility is terrible. And with these downpours, you're looking at visibility maybe at a quarter mile at best. That's why we're going to be dealing with this on our 7-day forecast for Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm talking about all day, all night, and then at least the first half of Friday. That's when we hopefully will have it taper off. This was the earlier 8 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center and Tropical Storm Debby. Wind sustained at 40, gusting to 45. Here is the biggest impact of all. It is moving northeast at 3 miles an hour. If you notice, as it got into the area right around Hilton Head, started turning north and then took a nosedive. And that's where it is right now. Even though it's now moving to the east-northeast, it took that turn to the southeast, but now it's turning up the coast. All the tropical storm warnings for not only coastal, but now inland all the way through from Hampton all the way up to Horry County. The issue is this: the trajectory right now of where Tropical Storm Debby is in the waters will continue that east-northeast motion. Then by tomorrow morning, winds at about 45, by tomorrow afternoon 50, getting to 60 by, and let's just say Wednesday midnight, Thursday early morning, give or take a few hours. But now the trajectory shows, instead of it being just a little bit closer to Georgetown and Horry County coastline and state line, now we're talking about more so on the southern edge of Georgetown County, more towards the northern edge of Clarendon. So if you wanted to put a frame of reference, we're talking about Isle of Palms, and the deviation is anywhere from 75 miles an hour. But here's the very big point of where it's going to be and its strength at that time. One, we're talking about at this point landfall somewhere close to morning high tide, evening high tide. So the storm surge is going to be a little bit more. But for the Midlands, notice we don't have any warnings as far as tropical or hurricane. That might be the case, but we are still going to feel the impacts because of where it's going to be, the time it's going to be, and how long it's going to take, which Thursday evening, it's still 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm. By Friday morning, it may be in North Carolina at that point. But we're talking about from tonight, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday night. We still have at least 36 to 48 hours where we're going to have to deal with Debby. As we got into the evening, well, the Grand Strand still has to deal with the tornado watch until 1 o'clock in the morning, but the flood watch covers most of South Carolina, and it covers all of the Midland communities, with the exception of Saluda County. Saluda and Newberry counties are not on it. Newberry and Saluda counties will still get rain, and a lot of rain. But the bottom line is that not only do we have the flood watch still, but note the time. It's now been extended until 8 a.m. Friday morning. So the National Weather Service has increased it by 12 hours, which means we're going to be expecting 12 more hours of rain. So as we get into tomorrow early morning before daybreak, we'll have a little bit of a pause, but come 1, 2 o'clock, here comes another round. That round is going to come through. It can move from east to west. The projection right now is that by Thursday or Wednesday midnight, going to Thursday morning, this projection has Debby, after making landfall somewhere in the Grand Strand. It's right on the doorstep of far eastern Midlands. Well, from that point, going to Thursday morning, we still got the heavy rainfall that's going to continue. And with that rainfall, from what we're expecting all the way through tomorrow morning, most areas along and east of 995 can get anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to almost 1.5 inches. And again, that's along I-95 all the way down to the coast. But that's anything from tonight going into tomorrow morning. Once we get into tomorrow morning through tomorrow night, add another 4 to 8 inches of rainfall in the Grand Strand. Notice the amounts haven't gone up that much yet in the Midlands, with the exception of far eastern portions of Lee, Sumter, and Clarendon County, which easily by Wednesday night could have a total accumulation of 1 inch to 2 inches. That's just Wednesday night. Now, the tropical storm wind chance for South Carolina, there's absolutely no doubt that as we get into tomorrow, there is a high probability, a very high probability, that the entire coastline of South Carolina, with maybe the exception of the north and central portions of Horry County, are going to have tropical storm force winds. So that means 40+ mile-an-hour winds associated with Debby as it makes its way through. Here in the Midlands, how much rainfall? By tomorrow morning, by the time we get up, most areas will be light to maybe up to 1/2 inch. But the areas that are of concern, of course, will be, again, Orangeburg County, where conservatively can get about 1 inch of rainfall by tomorrow. And in the winds, we're still talking about winds that very likely from the city of Orangeburg, but more likely more towards Wetzel, Utahville, Santee, Utah Springs, Tugtown, Holly Hill, that they're going to be experiencing the 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm wind gusts. And then from Lake Marion, going to Clarendon County, Manning, Somerton, all the way down to St. Paul's, Bloomville, Jordan, Forston, very likely, if not absolutely, we'll get the 40-mile-an-hour winds. There still is a chance when you get into Sumter County along the Sumter Highway and then portions of extreme southwestern or southeastern lower Richland. But then when you get from pretty much Burke Road in Calhoun County all the way down to Lone Star and connecting into Lake Marion and eastern Orangeburg County, there is an increased chance of the probability of those tropical storm winds. That's just for Wednesday. As we get into Thursday, it increases slightly, but at least not that much. The bottom line is that if you live anywhere from the Paxville Highway south, and then anywhere from west of Lake Marion, from Lone Star, all the way down to just east of Orangeburg County towards Wetzel and everybody to the east, that's where going to be the highest probability of the tropical storm winds that would be wind gusts of 40 mile an hour or more. Most of the Midlands, not that big of a chance, but it's still going to be windy. You may not have 40 mile an hour wind gusts, but you'll have about 30 to 35 mile an hour wind gusts. And again, for Wednesday night, as we go into Wednesday night, going into Thursday, again, another round of rainfall, torrential rainfall, Thursday morning, Thursday night, and then by Thursday early evening, it may start to taper off, but we still have a lot more rainfall that still is wrapping around. The projection, conservatively, by Thursday afternoon going to Thursday evening is that Debby is going to be somewhere in either the Piedmont or the PD. It's going to be somewhere right along the North-South Carolina state line. Is that going to be factual? Probably not. This is always going to change. But you can pretty much figure out that anywhere in the PD to the Piedmont is where Debby is going to be. All the way out west, for us, we're still going to feel the impact. So this may depict light rainfall, maybe not many places that'll have downpours, but this will change. And at this point, since we're only talking about Thursday early evening, this is probably not painting the actual picture that we're going to have by Thursday afternoon, Thursday early evening, where there's going to be more widespread showers and thunderstorms. What this is showing up in the upstate, I believe, take that put it right over the Midlands, because that's very likely what we're going to be dealing with more torrential rainfall on Thursday. And that will continue going into Thursday overnight. And then by Friday early morning, it may be tapering off, but I do expect still at least the first half of the day to have more showers and thunderstorms. From Thursday, as we get into Wednesday midnight going to Thursday morning, yeah, that was the projections that we were talking about, where the eastern Midlands, maybe an inch to 2 inches, but more so towards the Grand Strand. Look at these numbers that we get into Thursday night, where we're looking at now more widespread upwards. Now, this is a total going from tomorrow morning through Thursday early evening. Many areas of the Midlands will experience what already you've gotten to upwards of 2 to 2.5 inches of rainfall. But I will say that there's no doubt that from Lee County along the Lynches River, going all the way through East Sumter, east of the highway, and then into upper portions of northern portions of Clarendon County, north of the Paxville Highway, by Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon, many of these areas will have received from this morning to then probably more in the tunes of 2 to 3 inches more rainfall. And notice what's happening now in Florence County, where Florence County and Horry County are now exceeding 6 more inches of rainfall. And then Williamsburg now adding at least 4.5, if not more, inches of rainfall. And then as we get into Friday, well, that rainfall amount is just going to be exacerbated from what we've already gotten earlier. And the tropical storm winds, again, by the time we get to Thursday, now it's extending a little bit further more. That's why I said very likely from the Paxville Highway all the way down to Lake Marion in Clarendon County, and then from Calhoun County, from Lone Star all the way through the city of Orangeburg down to Branchville and Bowman, and everybody to the east. That's where we're going to have the very, very likelihood of these tropical storm winds going all the way through Thursday midday into the afternoon of 40+ mile-an-hour winds. That's going to be affecting not only along the South Carolina coastline, but as well for the Midlands. Bottom line is that we're still going to have to deal with this and the amount of rainfall that we're going to get going into the going into overnight hours. Again, this is just to Wednesday night, and you could see 1 to 2 inches possible more rainfall for Wednesday night. Then the winds are still going to be the biggest issue. By the time we get overall picture, this is what we're looking at. Wednesday, we'll get a little bit of a break in the morning. And then as we get into Wednesday, tomorrow after lunchtime, here comes more rainfall. That's going to continue pushing through. Wednesday early afternoon, right through Wednesday night. Thursday early morning, Thursday afternoon, more heavy rainfall, persistent going right into Thursday night. And then Thursday overnight, we're still going to have the rain. It should hopefully start tapering off by the time we get to Friday midday into the afternoon. But the overall scope is that all the way through Thursday and overnight, there's going to be a whole lot more rainfall. That'll be moving through South Carolina, impacting the greatest impact would be the Grand Strand, portions of the northern low country, the PD, and the upstate. But we easily can have it here in the Midlands, in the northern and eastern Midlands, accumulating on top of what we already have. And those winds are not going to be beneficial at all, which is the amount of rainfall that we have. A lot of the ground is already majorly saturated, and we're going to get more rainfall. And with that rainfall and with the winds picking up, with the power outages we already have, we're probably going to have sporadic more power outages over the next day and a half to 2.5 days because of all the effects of Tropical Storm Debby. But the bottom line is that the rainfall is going to be the biggest impact, because for tomorrow, it is going to cover a very good portion of South Carolina, and the higher impacts from slight to high is going to be all throughout our Midland communities. And then on Thursday, it becomes expansive even more. So the impact is going to be even greater on Thursday. And we still can't rule out Friday, although it may be slight to marginal, mostly marginal, so the very lowest end, but we're still talking an impact, at least conservatively, for the first half of the day. That's why we still have a flood watch in effect for South Carolina and the Midlands until Friday morning at 8 a.m. Because that bottom line is that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to have those scattered showers and thunderstorms. And then Saturday, start tapering off. At worst, maybe some isolated storms, but we'll have another round of storms possibly by Tuesday. Well, we'll have another update coming up with everything that's going on with the Midlands on News 19 at 9 o'clock. But for now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte. See you back here in just a little bit.